Talking about disasters and planning ahead of them are really important in fencing our communities from its impacts. Disasters refer to events that vary in speed of onset, duration, magnitude, cause, and many other characteristics. In order to get a heads up on these, we have the terms disaster preparedness and emergency preparedness. Let us differentiate these two in the same way as how it was defined in the modules that were given to us. Disaster preparedness is planning ahead for unexpected disasters. The disasters that we are talking about here may be natural or man made. Man made disasters are like terrorism, biological or chemical threats, oil spills, and the likes. Meanwhile, natural disasters are the ones that happen in the environment, like volcanic eruptions, landslides, tsunamis, and the likes. Under the disaster preparedness are knowing what types of events can affect the region, being aware of danger signs and of the risks inherent in different types of events, having a family disaster plan and evacuation, having supply kits, and having insurance as well. It is necessary for all levels individuals, family, community, state, and national. On the other hand, emergency preparedness are the precautions taken during emergencies to minimize the extent of damage and impact on persons and properties as distinct from emergency response and recovery. It is actually the first phase of emergency management and it can be subdivided into two parts, namely mitigation and direct preparedness. While emergencies, disasters, and catastrophes sound the same, there is a distinction between each of them. Emergencies are unplanned local events which require an immediate response. These affect relatively small areas. Examples are house fire or a plane crash. Meanwhile, disasters are large-scale emergencies which are usually caused by nature. Examples: tornado, major floods, and epidemics. Lastly, catastrophes are interrupted over a wide area and usually immediate response or rescues are not always applicable. Examples of this is a tsunami or an earthquake. With regards to the article, it mentioned that approaching towards the 20th century, it was increasingly recognized that disasters are not natural, even if the associated hazards are. That for short means that it poses more risks today and more so in the near future. Since the severity of hazards are already less possible to reduce, the most important reduction lies in the vulnerability and exposure. It requires identifying and reducing the underlying risk drivers, particularly the degradation of the environment, poverty, inequality, and climate change. Aligned with the highlight of the article that says we need to manage risks, not disasters, for me, this thought is very vital when it comes to disaster risk reduction and management. True enough that disasters are very inevitable. They come at any point in our lives without precautions, or maybe with precautions sometimes, but surely they are less likely to be noticed. And as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. It is surely better for us to reduce the likelihood of getting into disasters than responding to disasters that already happened. Thus, avoidance of construction of new risks, knowing the pre-existing risks, and the preventions are very much needed. The innovative curve. From the destructive to generative approach, for me, it is a great strategic plan to ease the impacts of disasters in the country. From being destructive to being compliant, sustainable, and soon being regenerative is surely effective. From knowing the effects and having anticipation to coming up to a solution in response to the anticipated effects in order to be efficient and productive again. Not only that, there are more ways to reduce risks of being heavily affected by disasters such as structural and non-structural. Under structural, are implementing building codes and planning of land use. For the non-structural, we have policy making and raising awareness. Hence, I believe that one of the contributing factors to a healthy and regeneratively responsive state or community lies on the well-being of its leaders. In short, the government has to be really competent because they are the ones to approve everything that will be put into action. These leaders will also be the one to properly distribute funds that will be allotted for the financial protection of everyone.